Hello folks, Booper here. Another quick deck tech that's Blue Red Tempo, um, based around the Enigma Drakes and cards that help it out. It's kind of like Blue Red Proves, but it doesn't really max out on that. Um, it's just a sweet deck, and it's kind of budget. You don't have Blue Red Hulks in it. Okay, the thing in the eyes actually costs something, but um, per copy it's actually not that much. And then what else is actually here like worth it? Well, you don't actually need to play Hazoret, so it's not integral to the deck, but I just think it's like really sweet and helps you to win games that you have no business winning. Okay, most of the cost of this deck actually comes from the lands. You do want canals and do want ephemerals. Ephemeral is kind of like clunky investment, but canals, they're good like in every format. Uh, you might be utilizing them in Legacy, even in some like Blue Red Delver, for example. I think it's not like out of the question because in that deck, you actually don't want more than 3 lands in play most of the time. The problem is that you can't really fetch it, so that's the only problem of that card in Legacy. But in Modern, it's great, of course, just like as most of the Fossilins are in Modern. So what are we trying to do with this deck? Well, we're trying to have Gigantic Drake, and we're trying to make it real good, and also we're trying to split it up with cards like this. It's also a 1-mana cantrip, so it makes Drake better, and yeah, uh, it's basically Gigantic Drake or Serpent. Well, Serpent is not gonna become bigger most of the time, but still, 2 mana, 6/5, and then 1 more mana to haste it up and just smash face. So how do we actually get through if the board gets clogged? Well, we can bounce like everything the turn prior and then try to answer that next turn with some removals and counters. Well, what else do we have? We have this thing to make something unblockable for a turn, right? And then we have Key to the City, and maybe this deck actually wants extra copy. So, straight out of the gates, I want to say that I toyed with the idea of going Madness and a lot on these cards with maybe some Voice or Cathartic Reunion, Lightning Axe, Fury Temper, but in the end I thought that like this is just a completely different deck and it takes so much space, and this deck just kind of really wants to go tempo, really answer only the few threats that really matter, try to ignore most of the stuff that's happening against you, and just basically win in 2 turns with a couple attacks with some big guys, and close out the game with some burn. And we play 19 lands because we actually have some cycles. We have Censors, which is just one of the reasons to play Blue in this format, I think. The others like Hulks, and then actually because most of the support for and digging for Marble decks is in blue as well, and green of course. Right, and we have also 2 sets of this 1-mana cantrip, so yeah, we can get away with 19 lands. Then you can't really, cast this without a target on turn 1. We can cycle Censor, we can have like tapped Fumarole, but we still want some action. You can keep mana up for Magma Sprays, of course, things like that. Actually, there's a chance that Shock might be better in this deck just because it goes face, and we're not really aiming to go long, so we don't really care about the Exiles that much. But this way we can, finish up some annoying Planeswalkers, or just, finish up face. So yeah, I think it's just gonna be Shock. I don't think there is space in this deck for both. If we didn't go onto this turbo package with Expedite and Slip, then maybe there would be, because you do want a lot of like 1 mana spells. Then Courier, what it does for the deck, it basically reloads your hand, and it bins cards for the Drake and for Serpent. This is what it does in this deck basically. Mage, well, it's a good decent drop, 2-drop that staves off some aggro from the opponent, from zombies for example. With helps some cheap instance, it can be a really good blocker past turn 2 or turn 3 because of prowess, and also because we have so many cheap spells, this can actually provide quite big punches. So thing nice, well, it's main deck because we're not control, we're aggro, and our plan is already revealed from game 1, and our game plan doesn't really change that much after game 1. So after sideboots, so we're just, you know, switching a few things here and there. Yeah, not for Serpents because, well, unlike Drake, you might not be able to cast it that early. Bedlam is in here because you have so many cheap spells, and because sometimes you want to reload. This deck actually, you know, runs out of gas relatively quickly, I think, because you're just cycling, and yeah. Flow is in here because we can't really afford to play Temper. We don't run that much discard. Basically, we try to bin stuff with key and just basically by casting spells quickly. And okay, we have Reveler and we have Courier. But when doing some burn that hits face, hits creatures. Yeah. But if you feel like this is not really working out for you, you can try to add or switch some of these for Harnessed. And maybe add more hubs, for example, just to be able to answer bigger creatures if your field actually is kind of infested with black-green, for example, things like that. Singleton Commit Member because, well, it allows us to reload if we're flooding. And then because we don't have white in this deck, so we can just you know, easily answer resolved big threats. So that's the point of this card in the main. Just 1 tower because, well, we do have a bunch of spells, but this card is slow. But this is like mid game, just trying to bolt you down. And key just to make serpents, drakes, and things unblockable, and just looting away unnecessary junk, and you know, just prevent yourself from flooding and stuff like this. Yeah, so that's the idea. So it's a bit different from the normal thing in the ice prowess deck you may have seen before. This spells for blue-red, extra cheap removal, so that's probably just a 4th shock. Because actually now I think the shock is better in this deck. We don't care about exiles because we're trying to finish the game as quick as possible, and we just need the we just want this to be able to go face. Gremlins just because, like, well, even though we're probably not gonna have that much mana in play most of the time, but still casting this for 1, like 2/2 blocker and getting rid of the heart or stuff like this. Maybe you want a second one here, I'm not so sure, you have to play test it out. So Harness because, well, yeah, you probably want extra removal against black-green, for example. I'm not sure if you need this against zombies. Because against them you're probably rather bringing in the Suns, which doesn't touch our Drakes or Serpents, so that's cool. Doesn't actually kill our Storm Chasers either. This is for slow matchups. So because this is not the slow grinded deck like the, well, I think it's kind of slow, Blue-Red Emerge with all the discards and recursion and so on. So only 2, and yeah, and a couple of Chandras also for slow matchups. But this is fine for this deck just because uh, this card is not like that easy to answer, and then it draws its cards or actually does damage, so that's cool. Slash removal, and then so whenever you cast, yeah. So the ultimate is actually also good for this deck. One random Glorybringer, just because why not? Could be anything, but I think like Singleton wouldn't hurt this deck, even though it's 19 lands. But with, as I said, with so many cheap cantrips and cycling, you can get there. Yeah, you can get to 5. Um, and yeah, some matchups might go slow, might go into attrition. And I feel like you're mainly bringing this against Mardu, but maybe you don't need it. Just try to tempo them out. So yeah, negates for all slow decks basically, and also for Mardu, because after sideboard you need to protect your stuff and not die to quick planeswalker or something like that. Maybe there could be a third one over this Glorybringer, or something like an Essence Scatter. Probably like a third negate or third dispel. So you can play around with the numbers, so I'm just presenting you the options. Yeah, so again, not really tested out, but if my understanding of the format is correct, and because I played tempo decks in this format after Amonkhet, I'm talking about blue-white tempo, the vehicles version, basically, the toolcraft version of blue-white. And I did play against blue-red, but against blue-red control. I also did play against some blue-red tempos too, but not myself. But I've been playing with a lot of different blue-reds in all kinds of formats, including German non-general Highlander, and also blue-red Delver in Legacy, in Modern, and so forth. So yeah, this is how this looks visually. I forgot to do this in the other deck tech for the Espa. So also I want to say that Sanitarium and Battlements might not be a good idea for this deck because you need a lot of color mana, something like for Storm Chaser. But yeah, you do have Courier and Key on Tawa, and then you have a lot of cantrips, and you don't really have double costs outside of Serpents in the main. You do have some post sideboard, but those are like Suns, which can be cycled, and it's turn 3 anyway, then Charmer is turn 4. So yeah, maybe you can get away with Sanitarium or Battlement, because Sanitarium basically allows you not to flat out, and switches on a few things. Also, this deck might be playing the Provis 1-drop, the new one from Amonkhet, but I don't think it's needed. You have enough of like good ways to do damage and so on. And Battlements just speeds up your Serpents and Drakes, so it's kind of like acting like 5th Expedite. So yeah, I think like it's a pretty cool deck for FNMs and game days and stuff like that. And while it's still in the format because of the Zen and Inshred, so you might want to take the chance and play because it's a really sweet deck. You might have a different vision of this, but I think it's probably as good as an Enigma Drake deck can get before the autumn, while you still have a large card pool. I might get a chance to test this out for a considerable amount of time, and maybe I'll change this, but this is where I'd start with, so yeah. Thanks for watching, don't forget to subscribe, check the links in the description below, check all the other videos including our playtest sessions for Modern for GP Copenhagen, and yeah, check out the standard playlist as well, of course, because in the past few weeks I have provided a few really good videos for you to have a better understanding of the format. Firstly, can't really playtest all the decks at once for standard, but check out the articles blog on Blogger, again, just Bobber, because there would be some really cool fundamental articles coming up soon, and I might be theorizing in text about standard this month as well. So until the next sale, goodbye folks.